Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We are so happy to have you this nice and early Monday morning at 8 a.m. To chat about some Google Sites creation. My name is John Shoemaker, and I am joined.
Hi, good morning, Dana Rubenstein.
And we're both here from Educational Technology. And so, as always, we want to start off with a couple of just some tips and tricks, so some housekeeping rules. First things first, don't forget that everything that we're doing today is recorded. It is live on YouTube, and it will also be posted after we're finished on our website at edtechtraining.palmbeachschools.org. Again, that's edtechtraining.palmbeachschools.org. Everything will be posted under the live stream resources in the top right corner. We have that sorted by all the different streams that we're doing. Also, please feel free to ask your questions in the chat box. We have some amazing moderators over there. They're the little people with the little bell wrench next to their name. We would love to have you ask your questions, share your ideas on how you would use Google Sites in your classroom or in whatever role that you have. So please feel free to take a look at that chat box and join the conversation. It makes the videos a lot better. The chat box is also there on our replay, so if you're watching this as a replay, once the video is processed, you should be able to see that chat box over there on the right-hand side. And one last thing, don't forget to subscribe to our channel down below. You can click subscribe and you'll be notified if you click the bell icon every time that we go live or we upload a new video to our channel. I know that we've passed well over 1,000 subscribers now, but we also know that when we look at our analytics that 65% of you guys still haven't subscribed to our channel as you watch our videos. So 65% of the people are not subscribed to our channel. So we'd love to see you guys join our channel. So with that, we're going to get started with Google Sites. So I'm going to take Dana away and I'm going to go ahead and get started. So the first thing that we want to talk about when you're creating a website is that you really need to map out your site. And mapping out can be done in a variety of ways. It doesn't matter. So before I even load Google Sites, the first thing I want to think about is what is the goal of my site and what do I want the navigation to look like? And this is done in every type of website, from the smallest, tiniest site all the way up through the district office website. We all sat around tables coming up with navigation and what goes under what and where everything goes. So it could be extremely simple. You could write it down on a piece of paper. It could be as simple as what you see right here on this slide, which is kind of like a mind map. You can use those mind mapping softwares. I believe this was just created like in a PowerPoint or a keynote presentation. Just kind of thinking through what you want your website to look like and how visitors are going to navigate. So what I like to say is think of your major buckets that you want your content to fall under, and from there decide what those buckets become and what falls underneath of it. You may even cut out, like, Post-it notes are a great way to do this. You can write them on Post-it notes. That way you can move them around and figure out how you want to actually set up that website. So the first step is mapping it out. And so this is actually going to be the plan that we use throughout the whole thing. So we're going to have our home page. We're going to have 3 major sites, pages within our site, and then we're going to move into another sub-site. One other thing when using Google Sites that is most important is permissioning. When you're using Google Sites, when you add your content from anything in your drive, it is going to take the content from your whatever you have in your drive, and that's the permissioning that is on the site. So that means if you have a document that is only open to yourself and you publish the website thinking that your students are going to see whatever you posted in your site, they are not. And they're going to have to click on that button that says, please give me permission, and you're going to get all those emails, and then you're going to have to add all the permissions, and then it turns into a headache. So with that, what my plan is, and the best idea when you're dealing with Google Sites, is to create one master folder for all of your websites. So for example, I'm going to create one folder, and I'm just going to call this My Google Sites, right? And so My Google Sites, this is going to be any content that I do in Google Sites, I'm going to put in this folder, okay? So I created it. Here it is. Now here's the most important thing. I want to make sure that everything in this folder is shared. And I want to make sure everything in this folder is shared with, under advanced, changing the privacy to anyone with the link. So anyone with the link means that anyone can see everything that I put into this folder. So you'll see later on when we're building our site, everything that we're doing that I'm doing is going to go into this folder, and that means that everyone can see it. Now, depending on how many sites you're going to create, you may want to do several of them. So this is just for the demo today, but I'm going to show you what my real Google Sites folder is. This is the actual folder I use for our real sites. So you can see each one of them has that little icon because they're all in this folder. So that means that anything in these folders will be able to be seen on my website, and I won't have to worry about it. And just so I can go a little bit deeper, you can see this is the site we've been using for our EdTech training. And then when you go into workshops, you'll see these are all the different pages that we've created on our site. So you can create as many folders in here as you want, because you notice they all have that little share icon. So I know anything that goes in these folders is going to be safe and sound to put on my website without worrying about something happening where they won't be able to see it. So with that, we're going to start with Dana. She's going to share with us the beginnings of our Google site creation, how we get there and titling it, and then I will jump back adding the content. So take it away, Dana.
Thanks, John. Now that we have a plan for creating our Google site, we need to start by finding Google Sites. And there's 3 ways that you can locate that. One is by going to New and More, and you'll see Google Sites is right here. Another way is by going to your app launcher on the top right. We call that the waffle, and you'll notice there's Google Sites here, as well as if you wanted to open up a new window, you could type in your URL, sites.google.com. So all 3 of those ways will get you to where you need to go. Let's go ahead and click on Sites. And you're going to land on this page. And what's very important is over here on the left side, clicking on New Google Sites. By default, you're going to land on this former page, but we have to click on New Google Sites. And here we are. What's really nice about Google Sites is they have a lot of new templates, which just came in last week. If I click on this template gallery, you'll notice that even more open up. We have one for a class website, a club, a student portfolio, a personal portfolio. And as I scroll down, there's even more templates, which are really fantastic to begin with. For the purposes of today, we're going to start with a blank site so we can start you from the beginning. And we're going to click right here on the plus sign. So once this opens, we're going to give our site a title. And John had mentioned that we're going to be building a portfolio. So to do that, we're going to click in this title box. I can go ahead and erase what's there. And I'm just going to call this John Shoemaker Portfolio. And you have a little tools here. So if you wanted to stretch that out a little bit, you could, and you can make that nice and pretty. Once we have our title, we need to name our site. So up here on the top left, we're going to click on where it says Untitled, and we're going to give that the same name. And notice that when I click enter, not only do I have my Google site name, but it's also now added to the top left of my landing page. after you type in your title, you'll notice that down here you have a few other options. Let's click on the header type, and there's a few different choices. You can turn this into a cover, which makes, notice how it got nice and big now. You can make the top a large banner, a regular size banner, or maybe you want this to be a title only. So this is up to your preference. For today, I'm going to leave that as a banner, and then I'm going to click on this back arrow. And we're going to go ahead and change the image. So to do that, we click on this little baby triangle, and you have two choices. If you have an image that you'd like to upload, you can do that by clicking on upload. For today, I'm going to go ahead and select an image. And what's nice is that Google provides a gallery of images that you can choose from, or you can search by URL or in your albums or in your Google Drive. So for now, I'm just going to go ahead and click on, let's do this one. So we'll select the one we want. And then you'll see in the background, it automatically, I don't know if you saw this pop up in the bottom right corner, but it will adjust to readability as well, which is really nice. So now that we have our name and we changed our header type and our background, I'm going to go ahead and add John to this site so that he can work on it a little bit when we're done. And to add collaborators, there is the plus up here, and we're going to share this with John. And there he is. And when you're adding people, it's important to remember those permissions. You have a little drop down here next to the pencil. And for today, John's going to be editing this portfolio site, but keep in mind that if you wanted to share with people to only view, you do have that option as well. So we're going to leave this on edit, and we're going to go ahead and send that to John so that he can pop in there in a moment. We're also going to take a look at different themes. Up here on the right-hand side are some settings, and the last one is themes. And Google provides a few choices of how you want to set up the theme of your site. So this first one is simple, and you have a few different color choices if you wanted to choose those, and they do have some font styles. There's also Aristotle, which looks slightly different. Notice the font changed. It has this little line under here. Diplomat, Vision. Vision has this little bar on the top that you can change the color, Level, Impression, and they all have the same option of changing colors. There's also a little paint can. So if you wanted to change that, you can. So for today, I'm going to go ahead and leave it as simple. And we will keep it with blue, and we'll keep it on the light font, which is very nice. It's also important to determine how you want the layout of your site to look. So up here is a gear. And when you click on the gear, you have a few settings, and one of them is navigation. So John had mentioned the layout of the website, and there's two ways that you can set your navigation, either on the top or on the side. And what that means is that the page titles will either be on the top of your site or on the left side of your site. So for today, we're going to go ahead and put that on the side. And now I'm going to pass it back over to John, and he's going to show you how to add pages and build out this portfolio.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Dana. So I am back on that same page that Dana had originally. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to go through the very basics, okay? So the first thing we want to do is how do we add pages? And if you notice, I already actually added a page by clicking, I added About Me so that you could see when Dana changed the navigation. So you can see that is there already. But when you want to add an actual additional pages, in the middle over here, you see pages. And when I click on that, it gives me what my site menu looks like. And so it's important to remember that tree that we showed you earlier is basically what this page becomes as you add more and more pages to your site. So you saw I added the About Me page, Another page that I said I was going to add by clicking the plus button is the projects page. And I'm going to hit done, and notice it actually takes me right to that page. And I'm going to add one more page that is my contact information. That's that page. Now there is an advanced button. Always remember it's important to click around and investigate. So advanced means if I wanted to, I could make this a custom path. And I know that's a little bit more of a geeky language, but essentially a custom path would be, I want it to say whatever my website is, blah, 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 slash, and if I, whatever I name it, so if I say contact me, right? If I name this contact me, when I publish this, if I wanted people to go straight to the contacts page, I could say, go to blah, 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 slash contact me, and I'm able to do that right here. So that I'll just make that advanced one. You notice it doesn't show up or anything over here, but I know that that's how people can get to me. Now, when you look back, I'm going to bring back that sitemap real quick. When you look back, you notice these were my major buckets, but then I also had some sub pages underneath of some of my buckets. So let me go ahead and add those in first as well. I'm going to go with Project 1, Project 2, and Project 3. And as we're talking, I forgot, Dana, I'm going to actually leave you up here in the background in case you have to jump in with any questions, since I can't see the questions. So your mic is live in the background, just so you know. Okay, so now I have all of the pages for my website, but there's a problem because they're all at the top level. And you can see that here. They're not nested like I showed you in my other screen. Well, in Google Sites, it makes it easy to rearrange all of your pages. So I know that Project 1, 2, and 3 all belong under projects. So in this method, all I have to do is click on Project 1 and drag it down and drop it on top of projects. And you'll notice how it now has nested inside of project. So now Project 2 does not get nested under Project 1. It only gets nested under projects. So when I click and drag it, I want to drop it on projects, not Project 1. And the same with Project 3. Now, again, if these get out of order under here, I can rearrange these as well, however I need to, so they organize. And now when I go back to my sidebar, notice I have my 3 buckets and then I have my sub pages. That's why creating that map ahead of time makes it so much easier for you, because now I can just add in the pages that I need right there quickly. So while we're in here, I want to start adding content, but first I also want to rearrange. I want the About Me page to be first. I want my contact page to be last. Now notice when I'm dragging, that blue bar is extremely important. So if I were to drop it right here, it would nest under 3. But I want it to be its own main page, so I got to wait till that bar fills the whole line before I let go. Now you'll notice it's its own main page, and I can check that by looking over here. One other thing to note that we're not going to do right now is you could actually add a link to a page. So I'll just show an example. If I wanted to link to, let's say, the school district's website, I could just say, here's the link, and I can go and copy and paste whatever link that is, and then I could just call it district homepage, right? And then I can choose whether or not I want it to open in a new tab. And now, see how it actually shows a different icon? That means when I go here, I can't actually edit this page. Like, see, when I'm on all these other ones, I can actually come in here and start editing. I am not able to edit district homepage because that's just a link straight to the district's website. Okay. All right. So let's go back to About Me. I'm going to start here. And now what we want to do is start adding content, right? So first thing I'm going to do is click on Insert, and you notice that I have 4 options up here: a text box, some images, my drive, or embed. I have some layouts that are automatically built for me. So if I knew I wanted a picture with some text next to it, I can just click on that, and notice it gives me the option to add my picture and add all of that information. So these are just quick things that you can insert. See, this allows me to give like almost like a little gallery view. But I don't want those. I don't want those. I'm going to go, actually, I will try this. Let's try this one. Now, I need to get my picture into my folder. So I'm going to go to my Google site, my Google Drive again. And remember, I'm in that Google Sites folder I just created. And here's the media that I need for my website right here. So I'm going to upload these 3 things to my Google Drive. And so see, they're uploading now. Once they're in this folder, I know for sure that they are shared with anyone that has the link. So I know when I put them in my website, people are going to be able to see them, right? So I'm going to click on the plus, and I'm going to select my image, which comes from my Google Drive. Again, you can also pull an image from a website. You can do a search, but mine is in my drive. And here's always a tip. The fastest way to get to the stuff that you just uploaded is going to be under recent. So as you're building your page, if you put your stuff in your folder, you know it's going to be right under recent. And because it's a picture, this is the other important thing to note. Because I imported a picture, I clicked on the layout for the picture, it's only bringing up pictures from my Google Drive. So this is the one I want to pick. And now notice it's a little messed up, so I can double click it and kind of try to get it how I want. And there. Now, if I don't like that and I feel like it's not showing enough of the shoulders, I think it's a little scrunched, I can actually delete that and just insert an image over here and select and do the same thing and pull that picture in under recent. And hit insert. And now it inserts the full picture that I wanted. Now, I want to give a little bit of a caveat. I think this is the most important thing about Google Sites. Google Sites is not perfect. It is meant to be quick and easy, and it's not designed to be this, you're not talking about Dreamweaver. You're not even talking about WordPress. This is very basic. So there are things that if you are used to building websites, you're going to get frustrated with. You just have to drop the frustration and work within the confines of Google Sites. So for example, whenever I click on the corners, I see these guidelines that appear. Those guidelines are where I can snap the width to. So you see the width, that's where I can snap it to. But notice, if I wanted my picture to be half of the website, it's cut my head off. So I now need to pull down in order to get it to get the whole picture in there. So now you notice how much more space I have to take up when I have to stretch it that far. So keep in mind that those guides are where the drops are. You cannot go in between those little guides. It's only snapping to them. And sometimes notice I want it to go there. It's not snapping to that one. It doesn't allow me to snap to that guide. So that's one of the most important things to understand when putting content in. So next I want to do a text box and explain a little bit about myself. But notice the text box went down here. I want the text box to go beside my face, right? So what I can do is click and drag. And I'm going to say, okay, the text is about that wide, right? Now notice it didn't snap where I wanted it to, but that's okay. I'm going to grab these, I think it's 10 little dots in here, 10 dots, and drag it up here. And notice where it's highlighting is where it's going to drop that text box. So I'm going to drop the text box right there. And now I can say, hello, my name is John Shoemaker. I work for Ed Tech, right? So la 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 la, all my text, right? Now, obviously, there are other options here. When I highlight, I can make things bold, italics, just like your normal formatting. I can link it, I can trash it, or I can change it to a subheading, which makes the text a little bigger. So again, you're not also going to get the option to choose what size you want for your font. You can't say, oh, I want it to be 15 or 20. You get normal, title, heading, subheading, small. That's the text sizes that Sites allows. Now, as you change, it goes along with my theme, though, that Dana chose earlier. So she chose, I can't remember, we're on Aristotle, I think. No, we're on Simple. I think we're on Aristotle. I can't. No, I just changed. Simple. Okay. We were on Simple. So you notice she chose blue, but if we wanted it to be red or maroon, I can change them. And notice, because this is the subheading, it's going with whatever my color choice that I have here. I could also make this a title, which makes it even larger. So keep that in mind, that those are your options for whenever you're putting text in. There's also a way over here to change the background. These are like strips. So every time that I add something in, it adds like a new strip. You notice, see the tools? So I can go in here and choose the background. Maybe I want to make this as an emphasis. And you notice it turned it a little bit gray. Or I want this one to be really to stand out. And so it turns it the whatever color that goes with my theme. So if I wanted black to be my theme, green, that's what that emphasis is going to do based on the colors of the theme that you chose. So this is nice to be able to create sections in your website, so you can section off all of the different parts of your site to make it easier to read for people. Okay. Now, I'm going to insert one more text box here, but I'm going to say I want to give rights to the person who took this picture, right? Let's pretend this is a picture that I brought in from someone. I want to cite it. So I can say photo taken by whoever, right? Now, I want this. Now, right now, if I did this and I made it underneath of here, right? Okay, that's okay. It looks okay. But notice how far away it is from my picture. So there's a lot of space between my picture and that. So one thing, and I believe that I saw Rebecca already mention in the chat, is to pay attention to the blue bars. So I'm going to grab this and I want to attach it to my picture. So I'm going to go, now if I drop it right here, notice it's going to be all the way across. That's not what I want. I want it to attach to my picture. So if I keep dragging up, now you notice the blue bar attaches to myself. So I'm going to let go. And now you notice that that text is now part of my picture. Now here's where people get confused, because they lock text or items together and they don't realize it. And now I want to move this, but I don't want to move the text it's associated with. So I just come in here and click it and move it. And now when I move it, the bottom text goes with it because I attached them. What you have to do, notice when I clicked on it once, the whole thing is selected. So what I have to do if I just want to move the picture is to just click it a second time. And now notice only my picture has been selected. That's important to note when you want to move things. And notice my options have also changed whenever I just have my picture selected. See, if I just have it all selected, I have the trash can. But if I select again, I have some more options. So I can actually link my picture. Maybe I want to link my picture to my LinkedIn profile. Who knows, right? There's also some other options, such as adding alt text. And if you don't know what alt text is, I highly recommend that you add alt text on any images, because alt text is what screen readers read for people who are blind. So what you would do is click on add alt text, and it will tell you, you could tell Google what this picture of. So you can say this is a picture, a headshot picture of John Shoemaker in a gray, a gray shirt, right? And hit apply. Now, when I publish my site, if someone is using a screen reader, the screen reader will actually tell the person who's blind whatever I just typed in that box. So every picture, to make it ADA compliant, I highly recommend that you add in that alt text, okay? So that's the About Me page. Now I'm gonna come in, and again, we're pretending like this is my portfolio. So I have my first project, and this is, let's say, an art class or whatever class where I learned how to do sketchnoting, right? So I'm gonna insert my first sketch note. And again, I already uploaded it, remember earlier, to my folder. I already have my 2 projects already uploaded inside of my drive. So I am going to go ahead back here, and I'm going to go images, select my Google Drive, recent, and project 1 right here. So project 1, this was my first, and again, this is not my picture, it's just an example. But project 1 was my first shot and my first attempt at sketchnoting. Now notice again how I'm doing this. I need to make sure that the whole image fits by pulling it down further, because otherwise the top could have gotten cut off, okay? So here's my first project. I'm going to put a text box in here and say, move it to there, move it up here, and say my first project was a sketch note of 10 reasons to use Google Apps for education, right? And then I can go on, and whatever the teacher wants me, I can spell, right? Whatever the teacher wanted me to include in this page of my portfolio, okay? So this is my first project. Now again, up here, like Dana said, you have all those different options to change the header. I have all those different options to add a different image. So each of my pages could technically have a different header up here at the top. Or if I wanted to make my site consistent, the header could be the same across all of my pages. That's strictly up to you. Also, when you scroll down under insert, there's a whole long list of other things that you can add. So let's pretend, and I don't have one prepared, but let's pretend that I also created a slide deck that went along with my sketchnoting. So instead of just going up here and adding from Drive, I can just choose Slides, and it's going to bring up all the slides that are in my Drive that I can share. Now, again, it's important to remember that you pull it from the folders that I know that are shared to everyone. So, for example, I know, this one is shared to everyone. So I'm going to insert that. And now notice, it's really neat because it adds my slide deck, but it also adds the controls for my Google Slides right there. So the user, when they go to my website, can click through. Whenever you insert something, it's also important to take a look up here. When I click on it, there's some settings I can change here. So I can make it so that my slides actually play almost like a movie. So it'll actually go through my slide deck as soon as it lands. Now notice, see in the background, it's already changing. And I can say, okay, I want to make sure it loops so that it'll keep looping over and over. 2 seconds is okay, and I want to start on slide 3. So now when someone lands on the page, it's actually going to go and loop through my slides as they are on the website. So the user doesn't have to actually click through them. They still have the option to click through them, but they don't have to, if that makes sense, okay? I can do that with all of these other options. There's lots of stuff down here, forms, charts, docs, YouTube. I can add a divider so that it kind of just adds a line there. You can't change the color of the divider. That is what comes along with your theme. So that's the color I get in this theme, unless maybe like I change the emphasis here and now it's a little bit more visible there, okay? I can add buttons, I can add carousels, I can add collapsible text, which means I could actually have done my whole portfolio on that main one projects page, and I could say project 1, and I could have inserted it right there, and notice how it's collapsed right there. So project 1, and then I can say project 2, and I want to link these together. Actually, I think they are linked. They're pretty close. I don't think they go any, oops. The one nice thing is that Command Z or Control Z works in Google Sites, so you can undo if you need to. So I can grab that other one and pull it up. I don't know, and there it goes. But see, it goes under there, which is not what I wanted. So that's how you can have collapsible text as well. This is really good if you have a lot of content, but you don't want to have so much text on your actual site at one time, okay? All right, so that's project 1. And I'm going to, for the sake of time, I'm going to slip to project 3 already because we're close to the end. So project 3, my teacher said that I had to actually teach how to do a sketch note. So I created a YouTube. I didn't really create the YouTube, but I created a YouTube video that I pasted. So I just put the YouTube URL up here. And notice there's the URL that I want. I could also do a YouTube search too, and it'll find all the videos. But now, voila, there's a YouTube video right in my page as well. Another cool thing that you can add, and this is really important as educators, let's pretend that I'm making a site for my classroom. I can actually add my classroom calendar to my website. So when you look at your calendars in your Google Calendar, here are all my calendars, right? So when I'm on my website, here is my class calendar, insert. And now you notice here is a list of my assignments coming due based on my Google Classroom. So that's a really powerful tool by adding a calendar. So if you've gotten to this website through this stream through our website, you know that we embedded a special calendar into our site similar to this. Okay, so now one other setting, and Dana did not have this setting. It started rolling out last week, but underneath of my gear, there are some other options that you can play with, but those are more advanced. But just added, so I'm guessing now we can say that not everyone has this because Dana doesn't have it yet, but there's this thing called announcement banner. And the announcement banner, if you'll notice when I click it and I type something in it, so I'm gonna say my site is, let's just pretend like we have something due this week. So don't forget your project is due this Friday, right? I can choose what color I want the banner to be, and I'm going to click away here and notice that banner is now at the top of every one of my pages. So when students visit my website, then I can have this announcement banner at the top. I could also have a button on there that links. Maybe I want it to link to one of my pages, my projects, right? I can have it open in a new tab. I can choose if I only want it to be on the home page or all pages. But notice I added that link in there, so you could actually have a link to the rubric or a link to whatever the specifications of your project is right there. When students click it, it's going to take them right to that page. Okay. I hope I didn't click out to my web. I'm going to try going back here for a second. So That is all the announcement banner. Again, that was literally just last week. So keep in mind that not everyone has that right now. That was literally just last week. And as we said, Dana did not have it yet. So it will be rolling out across everything. Two other quick things before we move into ideas on how to use this. There's a little button right here that will allow you to see what your site looks like on other devices. So Google Sites is responsive design. So if I click this and I go down here, if I click this one, this is what it's going to look like if someone's viewing my site on a phone. And you notice it just puts everything on top of each other. And then this is what it's going to look like if they visit on a tablet, like an iPad. And then this is what it's going to look like if they visit it on the computer. So that little icon at the top right here to preview what your site looks like is very, very useful. Okay, so now I'm done. I'm ready to publish my site. All I have to do is go up here to publish. And then it wants you to give you a URL. Now notice it starts with the URL sites.google.com/palmbeachschools.org/ then that slash is whatever I put after it. That's how people are going to get to my website. So I'm just going to put John Shoemaker Portfolio back. Now, if for some reason someone in the district already used that name, then it's going to tell you that. Let's see if I can find one. Yeah, so see, someone's already taken the delete me website, so I cannot use that one, okay? So when it's red, that means I can't use that URL name. So now I'm going to hit pub. And then also, who can view my site? Well, if I want this site to be for all of my parents, then I need to come in here and change it to anyone can find it. Because otherwise, my parents would not be allowed to see my website. And then you could also make it so search engines don't find your site. So like if they Google it, it won't be there. So I'm going to hit publish. And when I hit publish, it's going to just send it out. Now, again, the most important thing is this is not the URL. This crazy looking URL here at the top, that is how you are editing it. To get to your website, you click on the little caret and you say view published site. This is the URL that I now share with people. If I want to go straight to my homepage, this is the URL I show with my people or whoever I want to share it with, okay? So that's very important. You have to view your site in order to give them the URL, okay? Now, if I make a change, let's say I say something more here, it is not going to show up on the published site until I republish. So after every change, notice it tells me what changed, and I can scroll down and compare. Whoops. See how it has the green box around this? This item changed since the last publish. Okay, publish again. So after every change, you need to publish. Okay. All right, so with that, we're going to wrap up by just showing you a couple of ideas, and we will also add these links to our site as well. But this is just an AP biology course I found online that's actually being used live. So you see that the teacher has a Google Doc embedded with all the work for this week, and then they have their calendar for the rest of the year all in here. That's just the calendar. Another one, this is like a class website with a blog and the students and resources, all about what's going on in their classroom. This is one called Sunsets Reads, which is a reading program about at a high school in Portland, what they're currently reading as a book club. So this is a really, and you can see all the navigation across the top. Here's one of a teacher who is using it as his own portfolio. So he has workshops that he's done. He has blogs and articles that he's published. And we have one here. This is it's interesting because it's a Google Sites tutorial on a Google site. So it literally teaches you how to make a Google site on a Google site. And in our district, we have our TechSafe one that was built in our own district, techsafe.palmbeachschools.org. We have our library one, which is librarycurrent.palmbeachschools.org. And notice you're seeing the difference between the left toolbar, the left navigation, and the top navigation. And you also see Library Media has also already added their announcement banner at the top as well. And we have our page as well, which we have our navigation at the top. So with that, I know we went, there was a lot of information. So Dana, we're going to come back. Did you see any questions that we need to address?
So many people were mentioning how useful creating that master folder is in Google Drive, where all the permissions are able to view anyone with a link. So a few people said what a great idea that was. And then I know you had reiterated about that blue line. So a few people had commented on that. Otherwise, you hit all the questions already.
Great. The blue line is always the most important thing to watch for because it gets frustrating. So with that, we'll start wrapping up quickly because we know we're over. But we do have that form that is out there. If you need support from us or from our entire SMART team, please don't hesitate to copy and paste that link and share whatever you need, and someone will be there to assist you. And I grabbed the wrong slide there. I apologize. So today is Google Sites, and at 2 o'clock we have SEL. Kristen Rulison is going to join us from our SEL department. And on Wednesday, we have some great stuff coming too. We have Minecraft, we have Nearpod with Dana and the Nearpod rep, and we have the Google Infused Classroom with Tanya and Holly. And I also want to note real quick that on Friday, we're going to be doing a virtual librarian panel, which was like our panel this past Friday. So please, please, please feel free to join us on Friday to see that panel again. We know the feedback on that first panel was really good. So with that, Dana, do you want to say any parting words?
Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate all the hard work that you're putting into your teaching and learning virtually, and we hope to see you at future live stream webinars.
Awesome. And if you create a website that you want us to take a look at, please feel free to reach out to us, and we would love to see what you've created. Thanks a lot and have a great week. Bye-bye.